I need to restore the family Ferrari. As far as my dream car is concerned, I have a lot of them. This was my first, and I think the Lotus Elise is actually a great first dream car to have, because it's one that most people can attain, and once you've attained one dream car, I think it gives you a little bit of the confidence you might need to go after the next one. My goal is to keep the Lotus Elise as my mid-engine sports car and not get rid of it ever. I want my children to drive it. So as far as my dream car is concerned, I did a lot of thinking about this. It's hard to answer that question without thinking in terms of different like magnitudes of money. You know, it's like if I could have anything, it would be a Ferrari 250 Testarossa race car. That would be the ultimate for me. Following that is probably a 250 GTO. But the Testarossa is the one that I really, really love. I'm a fairly big dreamer, but the odds are not good in terms of me ever owning one of those. So moving down the line a little bit, so let's move down from the $20 million range to the $10 million range. If it were in the $10 million range, it would also be a Ferrari, but it would be a Ferrari, I think a 330 P3 or P4 race car. I recently saw one of these in person, and it was always the car that growing up when I would flip through Ferrari books, it's just such a wild design. I love the crazy round cockpit. There's just something about it that I really, really love. Now, you know, the odds are not great that I'll have enough money to buy a $10 million Ferrari either, but that would be, you know, the next rung down. To my ultimate dream cars, I think they have, you know, the prancing horse all over them. It's not entirely my fault, because growing up in my very, very earliest years, my father owned a Ferrari 250 GTE, which is the 2+2 model. And so I sort of grew up in a Ferrari household. My father had to sell the car even though he didn't really want to. It was something I never got to drive, and something that I really didn't see him drive too much, but it was always there in the garage and growing up, and it was something growing up about sort of the mythos of Ferrari that has always made it a dream and a goal for me. Next on the list after that would actually be, and this is something that is probably, that may be attainable. So we're going to skip the $5 million range. We'll hop down to the $500,000 to $1 million range. 250 GTs don't go for $1 million, but they are playing in the $500,000 range for a nice one. I would actually like, my real dream car, I would actually like to get my father's Ferrari back. So I have the chassis number of the car, and I've looked it up. It actually sold not too long ago in Singapore. The car was in good shape when my father had it, but it's been completely gone over, and it's about as perfect as it could possibly be at this point. And so if I'm ever in the position where a $500,000 plus car is possible, I don't think there's any way that I'm going to be able to avoid trying to buy that car back. That's the one I want to get back. I need to restore the family Ferrari. Coming down one more notch into the area that is, you know, where things could actually happen. I've decided that a Ferrari is the next car I'm going to buy outside of a daily driver. So I will likely buy one more car before I end up buying a Ferrari. The Ferraris on my short list, and they all kind of do different things. My fiance and I are planning to have a family, so part of me would really like to have something that's a 2+2 so that we can go on trips together. However, my fiance also really likes to drive manual transmissions. And so a 2+2 with a manual transmission that is, you know, within the realm of possibility would be something like the 456 GTA M. So that's certainly one that I really like a lot. That is hard to choose when something like the 612 Scaglietti is about the same price, maybe a little more expensive, but far more modern and actually quite a bit more reliable and less expensive to service. The 456 is a bit expensive. So the 612 is very interesting. The 612 is definitely high on my list. Getting one with a manual transmission, I think, is just about impossible. There may have been a couple, but it's virtually all the F1 transmission. And so I'm not ruling it out entirely, and I'm going to drive every single one of these. My goal is to buy a Ferrari within the next 24 months. I have none of the money that I need to do that right now. And so I've just set sort of my dream car goal. It's like, okay, the next 24 months you are going to hustle in ways that you have never hustled before in order to achieve this goal. It's not so that I can own a Ferrari by the time I'm 40, but that would be my 40th birthday in 2 years. It's just because life can be short and life is not a dress rehearsal, and I want a Ferrari and I'm going to have one. So the 456 and the 612 are the 2+2s that I'm considering. I will definitely have to drive them, and my fiance is going to have to drive them because she really enjoys driving manual transmissions. She really misses it because she drives a Prius with a horrible transmission in it right now. And so when we go on trips, she really enjoys being able to get out and drive something with a manual. The Lotus can do that, but she needs to be able to drive a manual Ferrari too. I mean, there's just no getting around that. So it probably leaves me with the 456. There are a few other options. The Mondial is an option, but I don't really love it. The 308 GT4 2+2 is absolutely on the list, and I really want to drive that too. So I guess there's more than 2 cars in the 2+2 range on the list. I'm just very committed to actually finding a way to drive them before I buy the Ferrari. One thing I definitely learned about the Lotus is that you should drive it before you buy it, and there's no sense in having the notion of what a dream car is and wanting to turn that into reality if you don't actually know what it's like to drive it. So outside of the 2+2 range, where things get, quite a bit more interesting, so this would be the car that I wouldn't be able to take a family on, but my fiance and I could go. She'll be my wife at that point, I guess. And if we have an offspring, the offspring just won't be going with us, and someone else will take care of it, and that's probably for the best. And so, of the 2-seater Ferraris that I'm interested in, since I want one with a manual transmission, and I really like something with an open top, anything from the 308, the 328, 348, 355, or 360 is really on the table. I don't love the 348, but I don't hate it either, and it's certainly something that part of me has always liked it and part of me hasn't. It's really, I'm just not sure about it, and I've got to drive one to find out. I really love the open air aspect driving of those cars, but that said, I grew up with a Ferrari 12-cylinder, and when I think Ferrari, I think V12. And so the ones that appeal to me even a little more are the 550 and the 575 Maranellos, for sure. But the one that really speaks to me, the one that I had on my wall, was the Testarossa. And there's just something so cool about the Testarossa. A 512 TR would be awesome. It's a little bit more than I would want to spend. $100,000 will just about do a Testarossa. But there's just something about it that's, it's the car that was on my wall next to the Ferrari F40. And the Ferrari F40 is just not going to happen right now. Maybe in 10 years an F40 can happen. But for right now, I think the Testarossa is really, that's the goal. If I'm, and it will really come down to how much money I have. If I don't have enough for a Testarossa, I don't have enough for Testarossa, and I'm not going to delay buying a Ferrari in 24 months. I'm absolutely going to do it. I will find a way how. And so the 360 with a manual is the most sensible choice of all, for sure. It's the most reliable, least expensive to maintain of the cars that I'm considering. I would also, I'd love to do a 430, but finding one with a manual is getting harder and harder and more expensive. And so I'm going to find a way to drive all of these over the next 24 months, and I really look forward to sharing those experiences with the channel as well. And I will enjoy driving my Lotus to a Ferrari dealership and try them out. There are lots of other Ferraris that I really love, but I think for my first one, I'm not going to skimp anywhere, like as if you can skimp, but I'm not going to go for one. I'm not going to just put a Ferrari in the garage for the sake of it. The Testarossa is just the one that, I dreamed about as a kid, and if I enjoy driving it when I find a way to test drive one, that's really the one that, I feel like I need to experience in life. It's also, it's the redhead, and so am I. Now, there's a chance I'll drive it and I won't like it at all, in which case I will get something else. I'm pretty confident that I would enjoy driving the 360, and that I think my fiance would too. So it's actually, you know, fairly high up there in terms, just because it does so many things well. It's not too expensive to run, and you know, you can find one with a manual. I can get either a Spider or a Coupe. The Testarossa, hardtop only. So that's the one downside of the TR. It'll absolutely be Rosa Corsa. I intend to have a Ferrari that is not red, but my first one will definitely be red. There's just nothing like a red Ferrari in my view. It's one of those things, it's perfect. Could you distill Earth's greatest accomplishment in terms of, you know, automotive design and art into one thing, and I think it would have to be some red Ferrari. A red Ferrari is sort of the platonic ideal of what a fun car is, and so it's something that I really am determined to have and experience. I think that's a part of life that I can't ignore, and something that I've got to do. But we are going to enjoy the Lotus along the way. We're going to enjoy the Lotus in combination with the Ferrari. I'd love to know what your dream cars are. I have so many. There's way more than just Ferraris. I mean, I'd love a McLaren F1. Far too many to list. You know, I don't think you should limit your dreams when you talk about your dream car, and I think there's a difference between a dream car that we could actually get and a dream car that we may never get, and that might be for financial reasons, or there are so few of them that the odds are pretty low that you'll find someone willing to sell it. And so, but don't limit your dreams. There's no reason, if someone can own that car, why not you? And so that is certainly the philosophy that I'm taking. I'm realistic, but I try not to be too realistic, and I'm going to find some way. 24 months, a Ferrari will be on this channel or less. That's my promise to you. It's a promise to myself, and my fiance will just, she's getting more and more used to the idea. The Lotus has sort of loosened her up a little bit on it. She's still not crazy about it, but she'll she's coming around. And anyhow, thank you all so much for watching. Sorry for the slight break in the videos during the Thanksgiving holidays. I was fairly busy. I'm also really busy outside of this channel. I'm a video producer, an editor, and a photographer, and I've had a ton of work lately, so I got pulled away a little bit. I can't believe that we're already up to almost 220 subscribers. It was only a few videos ago that I had just broken 100, so I'm incredibly pleased by how this is growing, and very thankful for each and every one of you. So as always, please like, comment, and subscribe down in the area below us. Thanks for watching.